Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and Emerald Planet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us.
Looking at solar energy in Washington, D.C., and now spreading across the United States in very large cities, but also in small communities, bringing a real change as more and more mandates are for renewable energy and moving farther and farther away from fossil fuels. But WDC Solar is now in its second decade, bringing solar into the inner city and working with low-income residents, but at the same time bringing the same services and advanced technologies to government buildings, the school system, the libraries, just about every other structure within some of these inner city communities. We have a gentleman, Paul Maylone. He's a director of engineering for WDC Solar. We're going to be talking a little bit about the future. So, Paul, you've joined WDC Solar. You come out of a wealth of experiences and background of different areas of the United States. How do you start planning for the future of a company that's growing at a very rapid rate, moving into different cities, and yet still wants to stay rooted in its home base, which is Washington, D.C.?
Well, I think that's a great question. It's got a couple of different prongs to it, so I'll try to take all of the prongs on separately. We are growing right now outside of the DC city limits. It's been a good 5-year run in DC. When I first got back to the East Coast, there was 5 megawatts installed in DC, and I checked the SIA ticker pretty regularly, and they're saying that it's close to 90 megawatts right now that are installed in the city. And there's still a lot of market share there, but we are looking just outside the city limits right now for some utility scale projects. That would, allow us to continue to grow out this base, which is got its sort of central hub in DC. But we are also in Atlanta and also in Chicago, and our sister company, Interurban Solar, has been growing into those markets. And I think if we can build a national network of companies that are all sort of in the interurban solar family, and they're doing both urban solar and utility scale solar outside the city limits, ground mounts, then we can really do something national and something high impact. That's kind of my vision for WDC, is that it continues to grow and in new markets.
Now, how do you bring these are local people that have been trained, WDC Solar contributing into the community? This is something that you'll be doing in these new markets of Atlanta, Chicago, and even other places around the United States. How do you bring people along with you that want to contribute to the future, but yet still be well-grounded, well-paid, giving to their families, giving to their community, but yet knowing, solar can be their future?
Yeah, I think the question of bringing people along with you is, one that I have uh, tried examining as much as I have been in leadership positions with companies. I want to be able to inspire and lead and instill some feeling of devotion to the companies that I'm involved in. I think if you don't have love um, in the company, it can be very hard. It can be very hard to bring people along. So I try to I try to fill the place with love. I try to take care of everyone that is in my charge, and and I find that it works. If you want to really know the secret to managing people's performance, just give them everything that you've got, and then try to get out of their way.
Right. Yeah, get good people and train them and leave them alone. But I wanted to
Yeah,
get to
yeah,
this
yeah.
this photograph here because this is Mark and a number of the people that he's bringing along with him over that. And of course, you have to start replicating this in Atlanta and Chicago and in
Well,
other
this is
places.
Atlanta.
Oh,
This
okay,
photo is from Atlanta. Yeah, this
okay,
is an install that we did at MLK, in
yeah,
Atlanta,
yeah.
the Atlanta crew.
And the whole thing about this, though, is that you're able to replicate this in other cities and still foster success. So this is the very building that you're talking about right here. So you're really getting these large scale projects. How does that actually aid and foster and almost as a springboard for the future of WDC Solar?
Well, I think we we really just started to do these projects in the last few years. Mark started the company really as a residential operation, and the major commercial work that we've done has just been in this last year. Even when Mark was building for Standard, we're building projects now twice that size,
Mhm.
and um, it is a way to just kind of say that, all right, well, we've arrived on the commercial in the commercial market, but for the utility scale market and for growth for the company, I really do think that this next year sees us pivoting
Mhm.
to to try to do more ground mounts, more solar fields,
Mhm.
more uh, canopies, large garage canopies like you're looking at here,
Mhm.
um, and uh, and there's a lot of real estate for it. So we want to try to be as nimble as we can, and having a satellite presence in Atlanta and Chicago, we sort of have to be nimble.
Right. Now, looking at difference between the commercial utility scale sizes. What are the differences? Is that a nuance or is it something profound? And how does that impact what you're doing at WDC Solar as far as its future and the future for the communities you'll be serving?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think everyone in this industry gets sort of cuts their teeth on residential. They come through a period of residential, and you'll find that all the same pain points on on a
Mhm.
small residential project occur on the larger scale. There's maybe even a little bit more hand holding with a residential project because it's someone's home. Um, but with commercial and utility scale, I would say the difference with these ground mounts is that there's the safety plan is much more simplified. You're not on a 4-story, 5-story commercial building. Uh, you're not you're not dealing with all the risks involved with building at high heights. You're on the ground level,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, I, I I like these ground mount projects. I like the idea that WDC could be involved in ground mount projects in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. I've done some projects for Dominion in the past, and I kind of want to continue that work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when we're on that scale of building, hundreds of megawatts, then we can do a whole lot more for our community.
Now, looking at the community utilities, if I can call it that, because many more homes want to have solar. Actually, I have a couple of recommendations for Capitol Hill, right behind the Capitol building itself. And these are smaller footprints, but yet they still want to have solar. So, how
Sure.
can people get involved in some of these community solar projects where they can actually benefit? At the same time, I feel like they're contributing to the society. They're reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, and
Yeah.
they're going away from fossil fuels, and they're using solar for their energy. But they want to identify, their project. How do you do that in something this large a scale?
Yeah, sure. Well, a couple things there. I would say that not every house is right for solar,
Mm-hmm.
and so if you don't have a good south-facing roof, east or west-facing roof, if all you got is north-facing solar access, and there's a lot of shade, there's a lot of trees,
Mm-hmm.
or your building's out of code and you really can't add any more weight,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're better off subscribing to these groups in DC. There are a few. Arcadia Power comes to mind, where you can subscribe, and your energy can come from a satellite renewable energy generator, such as a solar field, 100 miles away,
Mm-hmm.
or from a community solar project in the city. And DC's gotten really good at this from the standpoint of working with PEPCO to develop it out. It's called a CREF type interconnection, Community Renewable Energy Facility.
Now, looking at
And
these projects going from the residential, and we're just running out of time. We have less than a minute.
okay,
All right,
oh
now,
okay,
Paul. But looking at the residential to commercial, community solar to the utility scale, what have you learned? What lessons have you learned at WDC Solar and other places that now you can actually apply in these much larger projects, or nuance between all of them?
oh
We've got to be
wow,
quick. Got to be quick.
that's a good
30
question.
seconds.
Um, well, I would just say that the, the the thing that I've learned in this industry is to um, try to model it as a generational front line. Um, it is, I think, the moral crisis of our generation that we are dealing with climate change. And we are on the front lines of that moral crisis. And this is my tour of duty. If you feel the same calling, um, as it has bubbled up at every company that I've worked for, then you can start getting really passionate about this industry. And I think that's what I try to bring, that passion of I have to do this to save the world.
Thank you very much, Paul Maylone, Director of Engineering, WDC Solar. Thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.